Is this a car or a tomb? Look at this, 20 years of absolute undisturbed neglect. What you are looking at is a 2003 Nissan 350Z coupe, or at least, what's left of one. Its factory pearl white paint is completely entombed in a crust of hardened earth, and the panel gaps are choked with living, dark green moss. I'm running my flashlight across this sweeping roofline, and the sheer density of the decay is staggering. I try to wipe away a small window into the glass, but the dirt is baked on like concrete. The weather stripping is practically a terrarium. This isn't just dirty, this is a tragedy. We are standing in the middle of a damp, overgrown forest clearing, and this legendary sports coupe has been rotting into the earth since before some of you watching were even born. Let's see if we can even get inside. I'm grabbing the iconic vertical door handle, squeezing the mechanism. Dust and dry earth instantly shatter, but it's completely seized. It's rusted solid. It's going to take everything I have. With a violent heave, the hinges scream in agony, the moss seal rips apart, and the door finally gives way, sending a massive cloud of ancient dust right into the flashlight beam. The smell hitting me right now is pure, suffocating rot. The cabin is a disaster zone. The floor mats are petrified slabs of mud. The driver's seat is destroyed by mold and moisture. The dashboard is buried under inches of gray dust and insect nests. If you wipe the speedometer, you can barely see the numbers. It is a sealed time capsule of decay. Moving to the back, I'm practically fighting the dead hydraulic struts to lift the heavy rear hatch, revealing a trunk filled to the brim with decades of dead leaves and twigs. Popping the hood is just as heartbreaking. The VQ35 V6 engine is entirely buried under pine needles and massive rodent nests. The forest literally tried to digest this machine. Sliding underneath, it's a nightmare of heavy surface rust and petrified mud. Scraping the quarter panel reveals bubbling, rotting steel. The 18-inch stock alloy wheels are half buried in the soil. The tires completely rotted off the rims. If you want to see a miracle today, hit that subscribe button to Studios Davi, because we are going to need one to bring this 350Z back from the dead. We hooked up the heavy steel winch cables and violently dragged her out of her woodland grave, the locked rear wheels plowing deep trenches through the mud as she was hauled up the flatbed. Now she's sitting in our pristine, brilliantly lit detailing wash bay. The contrast is almost comical. It looks like we parked a swamp monster in an operating room. It's time for the decontamination. I'm firing up the heavy-duty pressure washer, aiming that violent, flat fan of water straight at the roof. The hardened earth instantly explodes. As the liquid scalpel cuts through the 20-year-old crust, a shocking streak of original pearl white paint is finally revealed. It is incredibly satisfying to watch large sheets of mud peel off the windshield. We blast the moss out of the panel gaps, watching chunks of green decay fly across the white tile floor. We blast the wheels, blowing out massive clumps of dirt to finally see the silver alloy beneath. Next comes the foam cannon. We're blanketing the entire aerodynamic silhouette in a ridiculously thick, shaving cream-like layer of automotive soap. The white foam instantly turns dark brown as it pulls the remaining oils and dirt from the pores of the paint. We scrub the heavily oxidized hood with a thick wash mitt, cutting through the final environmental stains. After a high-pressure rinse, we hit the undercarriage, blasting boiling hot water and steam into the chassis to melt away the petrified roots and rusted debris hanging from the exhaust. We carefully flush the engine bay, watching a sickening slurry of black and brown sludge pour out of the V6. Finally, we drag a massive yellow microfiber towel across the body. She is completely clean, but the truth is finally exposed. The paint is chalky, deeply scratched, completely devoid of shine, and the lower panels are eaten alive by rust. The easy part is over. Let's tear into this biohazard of an interior. I've got the heavy pneumatic impact wrench chattering away at the rusted floor bolts. With a synchronized heave, we violently yank the ruined, mud-caked driver's seat out of the cabin, trailing dust and dry rot onto the clean floor. Next is the carpet. Gripping the edge, I rip it backward with a massive, tearing pull, exposing the bare, rust-stained ribbed steel floorboards beneath. A massive cloud of toxic-looking mold spores kicks up. I'm grabbing the industrial shop vacuum, sucking up shattered mud, dead leaves, and loose change. Popping the center console loose reveals the real horror. A massive, petrified rodent nest and chewed electrical wires packed into the transmission tunnel. We use a specialized puller to crack the moldy steering wheel free from the column. Then, we aggressively scrub the door panels with stiff nylon brushes and heavy-duty cleaner, watching a dark brown slurry drip onto the bare metal floor. A detailing brush and foaming cleaner obliterate the settled dust inside the air vents. To truly sterilize this cabin, we blast superheated, 300-degree steam across the raw metal floor pans, melting away decades of grease and old adhesive until the interior is filled with a blinding white fog. We drag a waffle-weave towel down the inside of the hatch glass, cutting a crystal-clear path through the thick nicotine and condensation stains. A commercial extractor pulls terrifying jet-black liquid mold directly out of the headliner cloth. After scooping mounds of rotting sludge out of the trunk by hand, we set up 3 hurricane-force industrial fans to dry the entirely gutted bare metal shell. Finally, we fog the entire cabin with medical-grade antibacterial treatment. The transformation is absolute. From a rotting biological hazard to a clinically clean, sterile metal vault. Before we tackle the body, we need to save the mechanical heart. We mask off the sensitive electrical sensors and blast the entire V6 block with a shockingly thick, neon orange citrus degreaser. The foam sizzles and pops, immediately melting 20 years of baked-on oil into a dark, dripping sludge. We aggressively scrub every cast aluminum crevice with stiff nylon brushes, fighting through the carbon. A high-pressure rinse washes the nightmare away, suddenly revealing the brilliant, intricate silver aluminum of the engine components. A little hand polishing on the alternator, and this engine bay looks like it just rolled off a pristine assembly line. But the bodywork is going to test our sanity. Running a metal pick along the rear quarter panel, massive flakes of ruined white paint and brittle orange rust crumble away, exposing jagged, gaping holes in the foundational sheet metal. This is car cancer. I'm grabbing the high-speed pneumatic angle grinder. A massive shower of bright orange sparks violently erupts as we slice directly into the rotted steel, cutting out a huge rectangular chunk of the quarter panel and exposing the dusty chassis cavity behind it. Over at the workbench, we take a brand new piece of zinc-coated steel and hammer it over an anvil, meticulously shaping it to perfectly match the complex aerodynamic curve of the 350Z. Back at the car, blinding blue-white light pulses as we MIG-weld the new patch into the body, the molten steel fusing the fresh metal to the original chassis. A coarse flap disc grinds the welds perfectly smooth, blending it seamlessly. We hit the surrounding area with an 80-grit orbital sander, ripping through the dead paint down to bright silver steel. Inside the cabin, we paint a chemical rust converter over the floor pans, watching the bright orange pitting chemically transform into a rock-hard, jet-black polymer. We use a heavy steel dolly and a bodywork hammer to painstakingly massage a deep crease out of the driver's door, the old paint fracturing with every strike. On the crushed rocker panel, we weld copper pins directly to the bare steel and use a heavy slide hammer to violently yank the structural metal back into perfect factory alignment. We run a massive straight-line sander across the sweeping roofline, obliterating the sun-baked paint in a suffocating cloud of white dust. We tear off the front fenders, exposing the hidden, horrifying rust on the front crash rails. A wire wheel obliterates the scale, and we spray a thick, durable satin black structural chassis paint to permanently protect the unibody. We hot staple the cracked polyurethane front bumper, scrape the petrified seam sealer out of the trunk gutters, and lay down a flawless bead of new white automotive caulking. High up on the lift, we spray a dense, black rubberized undercoating across the entire belly of the car. Finally, we block sand the immense patchwork of bare metal, filler, and primer by hand, chasing absolute aerodynamic perfection. If you guys are still with me, drop a comment below and guess what color we're painting this legend, because we are about to enter the booth. We wipe down the perfectly leveled, bare metal body with a strong solvent, ensuring absolutely zero oils remain. We push the Z into our massive, brilliantly illuminated downdraft paint booth, sealing off the gutted interior and engine bay with bright yellow tape and heavy brown masking paper. The master painter, suited up and masked, lays down an incredibly thick, wet layer of dark greenish-gray self-etching primer. The chaotic patchwork of repairs is instantly unified under one solid, matte gray foundation. We wet sand the primer with an ultra-fine 800 grit sponge, flushing away the slurry until the body is as smooth as glass. After another chemical wipe, it's time for the magic. In the mixing room, we blend brilliant white base coat with shimmering, iridescent pearl flakes. Back in the booth, the Phelps spray gun unleashes a flawless fan of pure white sealer. Then comes the base coat. The first layer sweeps across the sweeping roofline, the pearl flakes instantly catching the intense LED lighting. The second layer makes it rich, opaque, and undeniably beautiful. But the third layer, the highly specialized pearl drop coat, changes everything. Dusted gently over the body, the iridescent flakes stand up, exploding with a multicolored shimmer that enhances every muscular curve. We paint the bumper, the fenders, and meticulously detail the inner door jambs. Finally, the clear coat. The painter lays down massive, heavy layers of high solids polyurethane. It acts like a liquid magnifying glass, instantly transforming the dull base into a dripping wet, insanely glossy mirror-like finish. It looks 3 feet deep. We roll in the massive infrared heat lamps, physically baking the clear coat into an impenetrable armor. But to get a true, million-dollar shine, we have to terrify ourselves. We take 1500 grit wet sandpaper and violently scratch the brand new, perfect clear coat until it's a completely dull, flat white mess, leveling the microscopic orange peel. Then, a heavy rotary polisher with a wool pad and cutting compound melts those scratches away, pulling an impossibly deep reflection out of the paint. A final dual-action orbital polish leaves a finish so wet it looks like liquid glass. It is incredibly satisfying to rip away the masking tape and paper, revealing the razor-sharp line between the glossy pearl white exterior and the raw metal interior. The reflections are flawless. We unmask the engine bay, unmask the doors, and use a fresh razor blade to shave microscopic overspray off the hatch glass. A coat of blackout spray in the wheel wells makes the white paint pop even harder. We polish the dual chrome exhaust tips until they look like brilliant jewelry. The exterior shell is an absolute masterpiece. Now, we rebuild the cockpit. We roll thick, silver-backed butyl sound-deadening mats over the bare floor pans, transforming the hollow tin can into an acoustically insulated vault. We push a brand new, plush black interior carpet into the footwells. The freshly detailed dashboard is hoisted back onto the firewall. The center console snaps into place, and I'm threading a heavy aluminum shift knob onto the stalk. We slide the restored, black leather steering wheel onto the splines, locking it down with an impact wrench. The flawless interior door cards pop into the metal frames. We maneuver brand new, heavily bolstered black leather sports seats into the cabin, driving the heavy bolts deep into the chassis. We press fresh, tight rubber weather stripping around the doors for a perfect seal. A final wipe down with a microfiber towel, and this interior is a luxurious, factory-fresh command center. The rotting biohazard is just a bad memory. Under the hood, we drop a brand new, heavy-duty battery into the tray and lock down the terminals. Up on the lift, we crack the rusted oil pan drain plug, and a terrifying, jet-black sludge globs out. We crush the old oil filter off and lower the car. Through a bright yellow funnel, we pour premium, honey-colored synthetic motor oil, lubricating a valve train that hasn't seen oil in 2 decades. We extract the 6 fouled, rusted spark plugs and torque down brand new, ultra-high-performance iridium plugs. We pressure flush the radiator until the rusty water runs clear, filling the reservoir with neon green antifreeze. A crisp, white, high-flow air filter goes into the intake box. Finally, we bleed the brakes, pumping out jelly-like sludge until perfectly clear synthetic hydraulic fluid flows through the tubes. The restored 18-inch alloy wheels, wrapped in sticky, deep-treaded black sports tires, are hoisted onto the hubs. The hydraulic lift hisses, and the massive steel arms lower the 350Z back onto the pristine tile floor. The suspension settles. She is finally standing on her own. I grab the torque wrench, locking down every lug nut with a sharp, heavy click. This is the moment of truth. I pull the aluminum door handle. It glides open silently. I slide into the black leather seat and pull the door shut with a heavy, airtight thud. The silence inside is absolute. I insert the brand new Nissan key into the ignition. One click forward. The dashboard violently illuminates in a crisp orange glow. Relays snap. The high-pressure fuel pump whines, priming the dry lines. I press the heavy clutch to the floor and twist the key. The high-torque starter engages with a massive, aggressive jolt, fighting the cold compression. The engine shudders. The tachometer bounces. It grinds for 3 agonizing seconds, and then, boom. The 3.5-liter V6 violently fires to life with a deafening roar. A massive cloud of white condensation blasts out of the chrome exhaust tips. The engine idle drops into a deep, rhythmic, pulsing hum. She is alive. We hook up the laser alignment rack, adjusting the camber and toe to perfect factory spec. I press the brand new Chrome Z emblem into the trunk lid, locking in its identity. A quick glass clean on the mirrors, a wipe down with ceramic quick detailer, a shot of lube in the door latches, and a final check of the tire pressure. We mount the front license plate bracket. The resurrection is completely, undeniably finished. I stomp the clutch and aggressively blip the throttle. The V6 unleashes a violent, high RPM roar that shakes the chassis. I yank the heavy aluminum shifter into first gear with a solid metallic clunk. Easing off the clutch, the massive torque transfers to the rear wheels, and we slowly roll out of the brilliant detailing bay and into the blinding midday sun. The iridescent pearl metallic flakes explode with color. The car looks devastatingly beautiful. We aren't just going to park it, we are going to punish it. On a sweeping, empty mountain road, I dump the clutch. The new rear tires instantly break traction, spinning furiously in a cloud of acrid white smoke before violently gripping the asphalt. The Z launches forward like a bullet. The V6 screams near redline, the high-frequency howl echoing off the rock walls. We attack the high-speed corners, the upgraded suspension compressing, the sticky tires biting the tarmac with zero body roll. We hit a long straightaway, and I bury the brake pedal, the ABS pulsing rapidly as the massive calipers bite hard, hauling us down from triple digits flawlessly. The chassis is rigid, the power is raw, the machine is perfected. We slow things down, cruising effortlessly along a breathtaking, sun-drenched coastal highway. The ocean winds sweep over the aerodynamic silhouette, the golden afternoon sun reflecting warmly off the liquid glass paint. We pull into a scenic overlook high above the crashing waves just as the sun sets, casting a fiery orange and purple glow across the sky that mirrors perfectly on the expansive hood. I turn the key, and the deep idle stops with a final shudder. The exhaust ticks and pings as it cools in the evening air. Stepping out, I walk around this flawless masterpiece. From a mud-filled, moss-covered, seized corpse rotting in the woods, to an aggressive, hyper-glossy, perfectly tensioned sports car that demands respect. As the twilight sets in, the crisp white headlights and glowing red taillights pierce the darkness. Thank you for riding shotgun on this impossible journey with Studios Davi. If you love this resurrection, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because we are always hunting for the next legend to save.